Hey, good afternoon, Trondheim friends. This is Pastor Sue, and welcome to this week's edition of Patio Ponderings. My patio, as we'll call it this week, is this nice little shady spot by a pine tree right outside the south entrance of the church. And it so happens to be the entrance that will be the entrance for the food shelf as they make our building their new home. And it's been really exciting to see all the work that's taken place in our building in preparation for that. But anyway, on with Patio Ponderings and our story for this week, which is this little tiny snippet that we had of the Exodus story. And the Exodus story is an expansive saga of the enslavement of the Israelite people for 400 years in Egypt and their eventual deliverance finally by God through the work of Moses. And one piece of that story, a very key piece of that, is these encounters that Moses had with Pharaoh, convincing him or trying to convince him to let God's people go. And the tool of persuasion was a series of 10 plagues. And our story this week was just the beginning of that and the first plague. But what we heard, and what I want us to think about, is that Pharaoh's heart was hardened. His heart was hardened to this incredible suffering that he visited among this whole nation of people as they were caught up in being slave labor. So I want us to first start by thinking about why his heart remained hardened despite these continual encounters with God's power. I mean, obviously, I think his own power was at stake, along with all the perks that come with it, his wealth, his status, and that type of thing. But it goes much farther than that. The huge population of Israelites was this incredible base of labor that became the very foundation of Egypt's infrastructure. It was what the political system was built on, it was what the economic system was built on, and the social system. So letting that foundation go, letting those people go, would have disrupted the entire nation in huge ways, which is what God's kingdom does when it comes face to face with the human kingdom and human power. It disrupts and it turns upside down. I think it's really helpful to think about that, though, in our own context, because every culture and every time has systems of power that give privilege and status and wealth to a group of people, while at the same time keeping other people oppressed and suffering. And so I'm wondering if we can think today about our own participation in whatever those systems might be for us in our modern day world. What kind of suffering in our own culture, in our own world, our own economic systems, what kind of suffering is our hearts hardened to? And why do they stay hardened? Is that we are like Pharaoh in wanting to maintain what privilege, what perks we might have because of those systems? Do we feel overwhelmed by the suffering, feeling like it's too big for us to solve, and so we have to harden ourselves so we won't be overwhelmed? Is there some fear involved? It could be any one of these things, I suppose. And these are hard questions, and they will take some time to reflect on. But what I hope we eventually come to in asking those questions is to be able to think about how we might soften our hearts so that we can make changes, whether it's individual or systemic, changes that finally will alleviate the suffering of other people. That's a big topic to ponder for this week, but it is one well worth spending some time and effort on. As always, I welcome your feedback and what things you think about. And in the meantime, have a wonderful day, and may you all be blessed with God's peace.